Hi, welcome back to my channel and to another episode of Cooking for the Yum of It. Today we are going to be doing, in tribute to the people of Ukraine, Chicken Kiev, which I will be serving with a bacon grease gravy, or as I like to call it, Hillbilly Béchamel. We'll also be doing roasted root vegetables. So let's get started. Now you'll probably be wondering why I put roasted in air quotes. That's because I will be roasting them in my slow cooker. This will be some turnips, some Yukon Gold potatoes. I'm taking quite a bit of garlic, some shallots, and carrots. Now, I've been told by one of my viewers that they don't really care about watching the video, the prep of the vegetables, so we're going to skip ahead until we're done with the vegetable prep I need. And there we have our first vegetable. Approximately 1.5 pounds of turnips that have been peeled and cut into approximately 1 inch square pieces. Now let's put these in the slow cooker. And we're going to go on to our potatoes. Here we have, again, 1.5 pounds of Yukon Gold or white potatoes. And let's not wait through the whole thing. Let's use magic abracadabra. And there we have it. 1.5 pounds of new potatoes, peeled and cut into approximately 1 inch pieces. These also go into the slow cooker. Those of you who are following a low-carb diet, this is probably not a good side dish for you. But it is going to be quite tasty. Now we're going to have to use a lot of magic. The recipe called for 4 large carrots, but there were no large carrots when I went to the grocery store. It seems like a constant jinx for me. Whenever I need a specific ingredient, they never have it. And then if I don't need that ingredient, I can't get away from it. They have it on special. So I'm going to take, I've got 12 rather small carrots, which I'm going to use as the equivalent of 4 large ones. So let's get started with peeling that. Abracadabra. Okay, as you can see here, I got most of the carrots done, but I saved one from the magic to show you. I came across this method while watching Julia Child on Pluto, episode of the French Chef. She called it cutting the carrot on the bias. I don't know exactly what that means, but they were kind of like little rounded triangle shapes. And that's how I will be cutting all my carrots from now on, unless the recipe I'm following says differently, but that was slicing a carrot on the bias. Now we put our carrots in here. This part's really not necessary, but I'm going to do it anyway. I haven't even added any of the extra stuff yet, but I like to see all the different vegetables and the colors, and that bit of turnip could probably use an extra slice. It's a bit chunkier than I would have preferred. Okay, now we're going to go with our 6 shallots. My grandma, Gentry, she could not eat onions. They were very bad for her stomach, but we discovered, and I think I mentioned this in a previous episode, she could tolerate shallots. So whenever I would cook something for us, instead of using onions, I would use shallots. Okay. Now, I like to now, instead of chopping, we will simply be slicing these. after I get rid of that bit of shallot skin. It doesn't have as much of whatever it is that makes you cry when you peel onions, but it still does make you cry a little bit. So then you put these in here. I've done something similar with leeks. And there's a potato leek soup I want to try for a future episode. Comment below, please, if that's a recipe that might interest you. Now, I'm not going to make you watch the rest of this, so let's go on and skip ahead. And now, one of our last ingredients, but not the last ingredient, before we start cooking, is we need 6 cloves of peeled garlic. You've all seen me peel garlic before. But I like garlic. Take off the little root part, because it doesn't really add anything, I think, to flavor. Now, here we go. Sometimes the peel just doesn't want to come off, and you have to show it who's boss. There we go. They thought they could get away from me. Now this one's started to sprout. I would like to, it'd be nice if I could have my own garden where I could grow my own herbs and grow garlic, and I don't really have space for that where I live. But if dreams come true and I get struck by metaphoric lightning, you never know what might happen in the future. I mean, I know what I'd like to happen, but how does that expression go? People plan and God laughs, or if you want to make God laugh, tell him your plans for the future. Oh. Garlic makes things stick to your fingers too. Okay. Now normally, and this is why I think it's kind of odd, when I do something with garlic, I mince it or I chop it. This recipe says no such thing. It just says 6 cloves of fresh garlic, peeled. No, excuse me, 10 cloves of garlic. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Oh, I have 1 more clove to go. Sorry about that. But, oh wait a minute, I've got one right here that I had extra. That worked out well. But But, okay, now we go for the last ingredient. And again, I made a mistake. This is not the last ingredient. First, we're going to add some salt. Now, the recipe says add salt and pepper to taste, so I'm going to go with 1 teaspoon of salt and half a teaspoon of pepper. That's a good starting point. And now I need 4 tablespoons of melted butter, unsalted. Shouldn't take too long. Okay. Now we add our melted butter. And we will be tossing our vegetables to get everything as evenly coated with the salt and the pepper and the butter as possible. It's a very basic dish. Plug in our slow cooker. And okay, let's get this so you can see it. Manual. You want the temp on low, so we don't have to change anything there. And we're going to cook this for 3.5 to 4 hours. And by then, I will have also been doing the Chicken Kiev, which I will be starting later. So I'll see you then. Okay, we've got about another 45 minutes or so before the vegetables have reached 3.5 hours, which is a good time to start now getting everything ready for the for the Chicken Kiev. Now, the key to Chicken Kiev is the Kiev butter. Now here we have 6 tablespoons of unsalted butter, and to that we are going to add first 1 very large clove of garlic, thank you again to my friend on the SGMC who gave me this garlic mincer. Now we're going to add 1 tablespoon of lemon juice. Now you don't have to use the you can use fresh if you can, but I've got so much stuff in my refrigerator already that it's kind of hard to keep making room for new ingredients. So I'm trying to use things I still already have in the house. Now, the recipe calls for 2 tablespoons of fresh flat leaf parsley, but we're going to use just 1 tablespoon of the dried parsley. If you have to use dried rather than fresh, always cut the amount in half, because the flavor intensifies with the drying process. And we're going to add half a teaspoon each of salt and pepper. We take a fork and we start mixing all this together. I'm going to keep mixing it until the lemon juice has been incorporated into the butter. This part will take a little time, but trust me, is going to be worth it in the end. I can tell already this is going to be one tasty, tasty dish. Always, as you see me, actually you can't see me now, always keep a little towel handy so you can wipe your hands off if you have to actually touch the food. And always make sure, if you're filming, to make sure your camera is correct at the correct angle. Okay. Pretty good there. So we are going to set this aside now and get the other parts of our Chicken Kiev prepared in advance. We're going to start cooking this, the Chicken Kiev, once the vegetables are... I'm going to be cooking the vegetables for about 4 hours. And I have the timer set for this to go off at a little after 3 hours. I like everything to come together at the same time whenever possible. So let's jump ahead. Now, what we're going to do here is first, this is just prep. I'm not actually going to start cooking yet. What we're going to do here is slice the chicken lengthwise, trying to keep this as even as possible. I'll just do one right now to show you what I'll be doing. Let me take a smaller knife and we're going to cut a pocket into the chicken. We don't want to go too deep because we don't want to go all the way through, but if I should accidentally do that, I'll show you what we'll be doing. We want it about 2 inches deep, give or take, and about 3 inches long. That should be good for that one. No, I don't think so. Maybe I did. I can't really tell. I thought maybe I poked through real quick for a second there. Okay, make sure our pockets are going to be big enough. Oh, I did. Okay, here's what I was told to do. Okay, it's not too bad, but what we're going to do is cut a little slice there, and we're going to just, that will help keep it sealed after we put it in the, after we put the butter in and we do the dredging. Doing this as best I can. I've never cooked Chicken Kiev before, but it's going to be good, I know it. And if I make a few mistakes, it's not going to kill anyone if the butter oozes out a little. Okay, now I'm going to get the others prepared while we wait, and then once these are all completely cut and ready to go, I'm going to be putting them in the refrigerator to keep them cool before we start the cooking. Okay, we have everything ready up till now, so this is where we start stuffing our Kiev butter into the chicken. We take about 1 tablespoon for each chicken breast. We put that in there. And we try to pinch it closed. I'm sure there's some chefs out there who could do this much better than me, but I've only got myself to cook for. I've only got myself. I know, I can't think of how to phrase that. Now we'll set that aside as we get the other breasts stuffed. Now this is something new to me. I've never done this before. Of course, I haven't done a lot of cooking before, but the seams after you pinch them do stay together. But it's okay if you make a few mistakes. Pinch that together and pinch that on this end together as well, although it's probably still going to ooze out a little. But as I've said, that is okay. Anyway, as I was going to say, it's the first time I've ever made Chicken Kiev, and practice makes perfect, so if I ever make this again, it'll be better the next time, and then better and better and better each time I make it. And I think this might be something I put on my regular rotation, actually. This is the last tablespoon of our Kiev butter. Now oh, not quite. Stay sealed. Sealed, damn it. Wash the butter off my hands as we go on to our next step. Now our next step is, thank you Henry Ford, who is credited with developing the modern assembly line. This is a combination of whole wheat all-purpose flour, 2 beaten eggs, our breadcrumbs, and once we've gone through the chicken will go here before we start cooking it in the on the stove. So I'll show you one, and then after that it's actually I don't know if I can't seem to position this correctly. Okay. There we go here in the flour. Now we shake off our excess. We put it here in the egg. Put in our breadcrumb. And we put it on our final plate. So we go from flour, egg, breadcrumb, plate. Now, if you'll excuse me, now here we have a skillet with a 1/4 inch of avocado oil. That's the oil I have at the moment. I'm going to use it up before I buy any other kind of oil. Now we want to heat this on over a medium heat. And while we're waiting for it to heat up, we get a tiny piece of bread to test when the oil is hot enough, just a tiny bit. So, everything ready here. And when it's done, I cook the chicken in here, and I'll be putting it on the plate over there. It takes a while to heat up, so let's just wait let's skip ahead. Okay, the oil is finally ready. So let's start our chicken. Remember not to crowd. Now I'm going to cook for 4 minutes on each side. While we're waiting for that, I'm going to make sure to line my finished plate with paper towels. And I need to get more paper towels. Could have sworn I had more on that roll still. But live and learn. Now, that does smell so good. I may have mentioned this before, I'm a very precise cook. I always try to follow the recipes as closely as I can, measuring and timing everything as close as possible. Sometimes I make mistakes. Everyone does, I'm sure. Even Emerald Lagasse and Rachel Ray and Julia Child probably made mistakes when they were cooking stuff. But they never let it stop them. It's like being in the theater. The show must go on, and if you make a mistake, just keep going. Make it a glorious mistake. It's like in the chorus. I hope you won't mind my mentioning his name, but our music director, Christian Bohm, says if you make a mistake, just keep going. Make it a glorious mistake. Now always also, make sure I've got it with me, if by any chance you need to add more oil, because sometimes that'll happen, always have the oil ready. I didn't, so I had to reach over there, and that's why I was jiggling the camera a bit. Now this smells, the aroma is just pure heaven. Absolute pure heaven. Now, nearly time. I've got my tongs to flip it over with. I want to see if I can find another set that I have. I don't want to use those if I don't have to. Of course, once I don't need them anymore, they'll turn off no problem. Isn't that the way it always is? I'm going to use this fork instead. Okay. Oh, that part got a little bit dark there, but that's okay. Don't worry about that. I'm sure it'll still taste good. But I think instead of 4 minutes, I'll just let this do for 3.5. It's almost, do you ever notice it sounds like rain hitting the ground? The sizzle is just so primal almost. Because I don't want anyone to eat anything that I wouldn't, I will eat this piece with my dinner tonight. After I've done these first two, we're going to skip ahead again. One of my viewers mentioned that these parts where I'm doing the prep are kind of boring, and she kept saying I should get one of those cameras that I can slow things down and speed them up. But I told her I don't have that kind of camera right now. Maybe if I, one day, but not today. Probably have it on a touch too high, so we'll turn it down a bit. Just a bit. Probably help if I... Oh, it's nice and crusty too, I can feel that. Okay, it's nearly time. Okay. We're going to take our chicken out. Yeah, that was probably it. Go for 3 minutes rather than 4. So let me adjust my timer. Okay, here goes. Oh, be very careful with that. Bubble, bubble, toil and trouble. Shakespearean Chicken Kiev. I'm going to add just a touch more oil. Oops, sorry about that. Just a touch. And now let's skip ahead to when we're done with the chicken. Okay, it's gotten a bit browner, so I'm not going to worry about the 5-minute deal. But we are going to start the milk now. More cups, one at a time. And we're going to keep going until it starts to thicken. To learn how to make bechamel, actual bechamel one day. It's one of the mother sauces I've heard it called. So let's skip ahead. Now it doesn't seem to be thickening much, and I would hate for all of this effort to have gone to waste. So what I'm going to try and do is I'm going to add a little bit more of the flour, just a little bit, and only a tablespoon at a time. Skip ahead. I'll do this for about 5 minutes to see if it's got any thicker. If it hasn't, I will add a little bit more flour and we'll try again. Okay, it is starting to thicken now. It even is forming a skin whenever I don't keep stirring it. And that's a good thing, I'm pretty sure. So I'm going to wish that I had 3 arms so I can keep stirring while I do this part. Add 1 teaspoon of pepper. Now my great-grandmother, my Granny Gentry, Granny Julia, she really loved her pepper. She would put so much pepper in the gravy when she made it that for some people it was a bit too peppery. I never minded. But again, this is a question I'd have to ask my cousins Nisi, Gary, or Janet. Oh yeah, that's getting nice and thick now. That is going to make a great sauce for the roasted root vegetables, which I'll be serving with my Chicken Kiev. Just about ready. I wish there was a way I could be sure. I don't know if this will work with gravy, but with a lemon curd recipe I saw, if the lemon curd sticks to the spoon, that means it's done. So I'm going to assume the same thing with gravy. Turn off the heat, and we're going to put everything together on our plates and have a nice Chicken Kiev dinner. Okay. It looks so good. Now this part is completely optional, but I'm going to do it anyway. I'm going to garnish our chicken with a little bit of parsley. It'd probably be better if I used fresh, but what are you going to do? And now, of course, my favorite part, I'm going to take this lovely plate of food and I am going to have dinner. Okay, first I'm going to try, of course, the Chicken Kiev. That is good. Excuse me. I'm going to cut right through here in the middle. Oh yeah. You can see the butter melted perfectly inside the chicken, keeping it nice and moist on the inside. Sorry. I'll try some of the... And what butter still oozes out now that it's done. You can use like a little sauce. Yeah, you can definitely taste the lemony. It's nice and lemony. Back in a sec. Hi. Something I forgot. I mentioned in the recipe I was following. I don't have any fresh lemons to squeeze, but I take some of this lemon juice and drizzle it over my Kiev as a little extra touch. If I had lemon, I could have squeezed it. I'll try a little bit more chicken, and then I'll move on to the vegetables. Oh yeah, that really adds something to it. You can taste the paprika. It's subtle, but you can taste the paprika. Everything came out really well. Now some of these lovely vegetables in my Hillbilly Béchamel. Oh, that's good. Oh, that is so definitely good. Here's one of the bits of garlic. Nice and smooth and creamy. It's actually, if you've ever been to the Renaissance Fair, I don't know if they do it anymore, but there was a stand where you could get roasted garlic, and they would take and you'd squeeze it onto your slice of bread, and it spread like sweet cream butter. It's just so good. I have to try that sometime. Making that one day. That is so. The vegetables and the gravy, the Hillbilly Béchamel. That is so good. I'm definitely going to have to start buying more, eating more bacon, so I can have lots of bacon grease to make the gravy with. So anyway, that was the recipe for tonight. In support of the people of the Ukraine, I made my Chicken Kiev. I did the roasted root vegetables, roasted, since it was a slow cooker dish, and my Hillbilly Béchamel. I hope you enjoyed watching as much as I enjoyed preparing everything. And until next time, always remember, eat and enjoy.